Hello and welcome, pilot, to another Hunternet mini update video. In this update video, I'm going to show off the new carrier deck and landing gear system. I'm recording this in one shot, so if there's anything that I forget to mention, check out. I'll be including it in a pinned message down below, and if you have any questions because something wasn't clear, feel free to leave me a message in the comments. I am trying to avoid my perfectionism getting the better of me, so with that said, let's get to it and let me show you what I've been working on recently. Okay, if I switch to the external view and you look underneath the bottom of this tiger shark, you'll see little doors here for the landing gear, and now you can press the landing gear button to deploy them. Press it again to retract them. And from within the cockpit view, to deploy the landing gear, you get this little blinking landing gear warning light while the gear is deploying to let you know that it's out there. If you try to fire while your landing gear is enabled, you'll get the warning light again to remind you that your landing gear has been disabled by your hard points have been disabled by the landing gear. Also here on the left optical display, you'll see that the deck that was assigned to me is listed there as well as the distance to that carrier. So I currently have been assigned UCS Light Carrier B, which is 500 meters away from me. It's actually this guy flying past me right now. And if I close the optical display, you'll see that my hard points have been replaced with L gear. Remind me that the hard points are not available while the landing gear is deployed. I can also bring up the navigation menu, the same one we use to navigate the jump gates, and now you'll see that not only can I target individual jump gates, but I can target any of these carriers that have decks that are available to me, and then fly to that carrier and land on it. So here I have a B deck over here, light carrier B assigned. I'm going to show you how I land. I don't want to crash into that. And as I get closer to this carrier and actually see the deck, you'll see that the deck lights have been on. So these other carriers over here, their deck lights are off because I'm not assigned to their decks. If I turn off my gear, retract the gear, the lights turn off. Deploy the gear, the lights turn on. So that's another visual indicator to help you realize that this is the deck that you need to land on. And now, since this is a moving carrier, I have to first match its general velocity and any orientation, and then I have to face forward. If I don't face forward, let's say I try to land at some really odd angle, the automatic magnetic system will not deploy because the crew requires you to be landing properly so they can properly service your ship. And here we go. And now I'm docked. And then when I undock, while I'm docking, I'll be repaired and refueled and rearmed as usual, and I can see my hard points, so it makes it easy for me to refit and see the status of my ship. I can look around, but my ship is completely magnetically locked with the carrier so that I am completely static. I can't use my thrusters, and I'm extremely vulnerable. So it's very important when you're docked with the carrier like this to first make sure that there is no enemies nearby, or if you have friendlies, you might ask them to fly cover while you're getting your repairs. You're much more vulnerable now that landing is more realistic. Okay, so now I'm going to undock, and when I undock, my starfighter will retain the momentum of the ship that I'm on, so it makes it easy for me to deploy my landing gear a second time and then redock if necessary. All right, like that. Okay, so undocking. And this is important because the area that I plan on working on next is the flight model for these carriers. And one of the most important uses of the carriers is for the open world. You might have repaired on the carrier when all of a sudden you get your allies tell you need to dock again quickly because we're going to take the carrier through one of these jump gates because we're retreating or we're going to go attack, whatever. You need to be able to dock quickly. That makes it a little bit easier. And now let me show off landing on these carriers that are moving a little bit more interestingly. They have a little bit of rotation. So now again, I need to match the velocity. And you try to land at very high speeds, they just slam your ship onto the deck and you'll bounce right off of it and take some hull damage. So you gotta match the general speed, orientation, and rotation of the craft. Might be a good option for you to turn off rotational flight assist, although with this particular guy, you can manage it just fine. There we go. and now you've docked with this carrier, and you can look around and admire the carrier as it flies through space. And then when you're ready, you can undock, and even though it inherits some of that rotational velocity as well, making it easy for me to dock again if necessary. All right, very cool. And here in the navigation list, it's only going to show carriers that are available. Since I have it in free-for-all, as long as I have my broadcast signal on, I can use any of these carriers to dock, and I can see how far away they are. The other thing that I've done is up till now, I have been limiting the upgraded carrier test to this deep space location. That's because there's a lot of code that was depending on the previous incarnation of carriers, things having to do with mission types, how the previous landing system works. So I had kept a parallel copy of the old carrier code and the old turret code and the old landing code side by side, the new work in progress. But now what I've done is I've gone ahead and gotten rid of all that code and changed all the test locations to use the new carrier code. So even though while these carriers aren't moving like the ones in deep space, they could technically move. I could have programmed them to rotate or spin or fly towards these other ones, but for simplicity's sake, I just had them with zero velocity. But that means that now you'll have to use the new landing system everywhere in Hunternet, including the test universe. And if I bring up the navigation menu, you'll see that you can see all the names of the carriers in this location, and you can switch between them. Let's see, I'm going to deploy my landing gear here. This is the hull disk. You can see the hull disk is the one that's selected there. It's on my monitor, and I have to use the same landing system as before. And if I go and switch between the different map locations, you'll see that here's Catane and hull disks are also on this map. Here we have light carriers A through F. Here we have decks A through D on each of the wings of this space station. This was actually implemented as a special case of carriers because I haven't done the proper carrier code. But the carrier code, station code, the station code is going to be an evolution of the current carrier code. But yeah, and the ordering's a little bit weird. I'll probably fix that at some point. Just when I did the quick switch over from the old code to new code, it ended up in this order. But yeah, now that the carrier system is available everywhere, the next area that I plan on working on is the flight model. So up till now, these guys fly, but they're just flying sort of a preordained flight path in a straight line with a little bit of rotation. So I'm going to give them a proper flight model just like you have for your ships. I'll also, at some point, I'll work on the VFX for the carriers. These are the old carrier models. We have new carrier models. So it's going to be a big undertaking. I started out with the deck system. Now with the carrier turrets, making sure they worked off a moving platform and they were optimized for that. Then I worked on the landing gear and decks. Now I'm going to work on the flight model. Flight model is actually a big update, so it's going to take a while. But I'll keep you guys posted on the Discord, and then once the flight model is working well, I'll record another one of these mini updates and then work on the next carrier phase. Once the carriers are pretty much complete, there'll still be refinements and changes, but once I feel like they're pretty robust, then I'll do an even bigger video update and send out an email to our backers. But that's it for today's mini update. I hope that got you up to speed. If you have any questions about the mechanics or the game in general, just leave a comment down below. And if you're interested in playing Hunternet now and not waiting until we're ready for Steam Early Access, visit hunternet.gg and you can back us there to gain immediate access, which is available not just during our playtest, but 24/7. Otherwise, I recommend you wishlist the game on Steam to make sure you get notified when the game is available for Steam Early Access. That will happen as soon as we have a more fleshed out persistent universe with at least the early versions of the economic gameplay loops, and I feel like it's ready for a broader audience. But until then, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hang out on our Discord. There's other ways to follow the project, and if you're interested in playing the game as it is and contributing through play testing or through feedback, then feel free to back discuss. But either way, thank you for your time, pilot, and I catch you next